Happy Monday. Today on the Point 3 podcast, a live stream, we're diving deep into the latest superhero news from the MCU and DCEU, discussing the latest character rumors, potential director exits, and giving our thoughts on the Aquaman 2 trailer. We also want to highlight the exciting events from last week's Batman week, including our special Batman suit tier rank and first ever Point 3 podcast community movie night with The Dark Knight. So stick around, stick around to hear all about our upcoming movie night announcements on Discord, where you can join us for a fun superhero movie or show screening with fellow fans. And boy, do we have some exciting plans coming up in the future with that. So, how was Lou? You were there for the Dark Knight watch party. How was before we get into Aquaman and DCEU stuff? How did you feel rewatching The Dark Knight in today's day and age after all this DC stuff going on and the Batman comparisons?
First off, following up on our suit tier ranking, it was awesome because seeing that suit in action, the part where the room's all white. It's like the cargo crate Batcave. It rises up and I'm like, there it is, and seeing it throughout the whole thing, it was just awesome. And then everyone in the Discord community, in the chat, there was stuff. The Joker Heath Ledger thing, I didn't know about his hair.
Oh yeah,
that was such a cool little point out of like his hair changing color. And like, I don't know, it was just awesome, like real-time insights while watching the movie. So I had a blast. So if you're watching this, join. We're gonna have some cool stuff coming up, so you'll only find out if you're in the Discord channel. So join.
Discord eats first.
Yeah, you're missing out. You're missing out if you're not in it. We have people in the chat who are, specifically Rome's Guide. He can tell you guys how great it is over there. We have a lot of fun. You get first looks at people, what we get in our collection. Lou just flashed it really quick.
Yeah, I'm gonna flash it back up again.
Look, we knew this last week. Everybody's finding out till now, but we knew this, so you're missing out. So join us over there. We have a lot of fun every day, even if it's just random stuff. So,
and trust me, there's a lot of random stuff coming out, and we're going to talk about a little bit of it today.
Yeah. So you flashed it up there, Aquaman. We got the Aquaman 2 teaser, what was it, last Sunday?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Or Monday? Last Sunday or Monday? And then we got the full trailer on Thursday. So, Lou, I'm going to throw this one first to you, mainly because I'm curious, just because I know the relationship that you have with Aquaman. Right. How are you feeling about this? What's got you? Does it have you excited? Are you bored of it? Because I mean, honestly, based on the reaction of a lot of people that I saw, they were kind of like, "Oh crap, I forgot about this movie."
100%. But we here at the Point 3 podcast didn't forget, because we stay up to date on everything. This is your go-to for all of your news, past, present, future. Bam. But speaking of Discord, not to keep plugging it, Hero Scroll and I had a little conversation, and I was sticking it to Aquaman 1. I'm like, I don't like the movie. I do not care for Jason Momoa. I just couldn't get down with it and didn't understand why it made as much money as it did. Through a little conversation, I was like, I'm going to give Aquaman a chance. Bam. And then here comes the trailer, and I was like, wow, this is sick timing. Bam. Here comes a link on Amazon, and I end up getting this omnibus. Bam. Aquaman is all up in my business now. And just like I was on the support for Blue Beetle, I feel like, and I'm not going to steal this from Hero Scroll or from Spider Brando, anybody, I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. And the reason why, we'll talk about this in a second, the adventure aspect of Aquaman 1 was very intriguing to me on a rewatch this past weekend. And now knowing, and James Wan has come out and said it, Aquaman 1 was Mira and Arthur's story. Aquaman 2 is Arthur and Orm's story. And to see how, like, what are they going to do with it? I mean, there were a lot of really good parts of this movie. I think the first 5 minutes of the last movie were cheeks, but the trailer got me excited enough to be like, I think the DCEU is going to end on a pretty high note. It's possible.
How much lower it could end on with Flash, man.
But and that's true, right? But the good thing is we got Blue Beetle, right? To kind of make up for it. And hopefully if Aquaman does well in terms of specifically its story and really just having fun with what they want to do, because that's the thing, Aquaman's a fun character and that's what he should be, and I think that's what his first movie was, and I think that's what this one is, what they're seemingly setting up, right? The only, I guess, worry I have, and it's more so I don't know if there's been reshoots because we haven't really heard of it. This movie just has kind of gone dark amidst the writer strike, obviously, but also just in general. We just haven't heard much about it. And the last we heard about it was a doom and gloom type thing that people were walking out of early screenings demanding their money back.
That doesn't bother me anymore. After everything we heard about Flash and then seeing Flash, I'm like, your pre-screening, test screenings, like you can take every single one of those back. I'll make my own decision. I'm still going to go see it. But I think Flash did the reverse. But
sadly, you didn't get a reverse Flash. But yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm really excited for this movie. I think it's going to be fun. And you showed the omnibus that you got earlier, and Rowan was asked if you stretched it. I'm sure you
literally just finished before we started this podcast.
There you go. See, but
shout out for that. I did it exactly, and I turned it upside down. So
yeah, shout out to Rome's for making that great video on it. By the way,
you guys never told me to stretch an omnibus when I got my Spider-Verse one.
Honestly, I didn't know till after you got it. So I went back and did all mine retroactively. But anyways, going back to Aquaman, they spelled out doom and gloom. I just don't think that's what it's going to be. I wonder how the Amber Heard stuff is going to play out. I don't really think it's going to hurt it that much because, I mean, Ezra Miller was in The Flash and it didn't really, at least I don't think really people were able to dissociate what, was going on with that in real life. So pretty sure the same will happen here, but doesn't look like the movie's about her. So, and honestly, I think they're setting up to kill her.
Potentially. I think that there's going to be a substitute between little Arthur Jr. and Mira. Because listen, Black Manta is out for revenge. Oh my gosh, she's out for revenge. I looked at Aquaman 1 a little bit differently now, seeing after that trailer and being like, I know there's some jokes and stuff about like, Green Lantern finally showed up, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, this is Black Manta, who is an absolute beast, by the way.
Did you... Because in that Discord chat that we were having, you kind of dogged on the whole Black Manta scene in the first one. Did this kind of change your perspective a little bit?
No. I still believe that the way that they introduced that, it feels like somebody wrote that and then they just plopped it in the movie. In the beginning, again, this isn't a spoiler, but a quick recap of what I'm talking about is I didn't really care for Black Manta showing up and being like, I'm a pirate, and the guy's like, you can't say that to me, I'm the captain. And he's like, now you're a dead captain. And he's like, good job, son. He's like, thanks, Dad. And he's like, I have a weapon for you, it's your grandfather's. I don't want that. Oh, Dad, no, you're dead, take revenge. Like that whole thing for me, I was like, didn't really care too much for how they did it. But even comparing Aquaman to current movies, you have Black Manta as kind of that underlying villain, and then you kind of have what ends up being Ocean Master as the main. Like, his character was pretty good knowing that he was supposed to get a spinoff, and then he's really going to be the main antagonist of Aquaman 2, unless they throw me a curveball. But from that bridge, not bad. The revenge thing, I think it was rushed. I think they could have played it a little bit better. really didn't like it. And then when he's like channeling his inner child and he's like, the sharks will save me from being bullied. I'm like, okay. Didn't love it. Did not love those two. And then he turns around and his eyes are all yellow and he's like, yes, I am Aqualad now.
I will say there is issues with the movie, and I do think there are some corny parts to it. But then also the movie's about 30 to 40 minutes too long. There's a few scenes they could cut out entirely from the movie, and it won't change the course of the movie. It'll stay exactly the same. So it does have its issues, but what I will say, and going back to that omnibus, is that the omnibus does, when you read the omnibus, especially you, Lou, since you have it, you're going to see a lot of correlation between what the first movie did and that comic book run. And with the way the trailer is showing up everything, it really feels like the second half is just going to be the second half of this run. Which I think is also really good stuff. Aquaman, I champion it, right? It made $1 billion, which,
dude, okay.
Honestly, I kind of forgot it did as well.
Yeah, it was a busy movie theater weekend. I will say that.
Oh, yeah,
I don't remember it being like $1 billion. I was, and I even got.
Appreciate your realms.
I do have a special pop that I would like to show off.
He says you'll like him more when you read.
Listen,
that
dude,
omnibus.
I could.
Nope. Having technical issues. Oh wow, I forgot that's a thing. The Regal Cinemas one.
Regal, the OG Regal exclusive pop too.
Weren't those in like the claw machines?
No, you had to buy like 2 or more tickets that equaled over like $30 or something, and they gave you 1 pop.
Really?
Yeah, I ended up stealing this one. Actually, one of my managers stole this one from me because I wasn't allowed to just like take it. Like they just were like, yeah, no, like even though you work here, you can't just like take it. So she ended up she was a manager, so she just took it and was just like, fuck it. And then one of my other friends who actually came to see the movie with his sisters didn't even want the pop at all because they don't collect or anything, and he just gave it to me. So I ended up with 2. I completely forgot what I did with the other one.
Dude, that's a fair point. But listen, I loved OG Aquaman, and I think I had a problem. It's not as extreme as what you see today with the whole like, oh, here's race swapping and gender swapping and culture swap, like all that swapping stuff that's kind of easy and hot button stuff to say now. But I would have preferred, and I do prefer from a DC standpoint, that they leave these characters very similar to how they are in the comics for the most part. I'm not going to say which run and all that kind of stuff that they would be from, but a traditional, when you think of it, Aquaman, it's his classic suit, blonde hair. So when they go through and they do kind of the island version of Aquaman, it threw me off a little bit, and it took me a minute to accept it, be okay, not for any bad reason. It's just I would have preferred a more comic accurate version of him from the jump.
Yeah.
And he was a little too bro for me, of just like, again, I said this in the thing. Aquaman to me should have felt a little more of how the MCU did Thor. And how Thor and Loki's relationship is how I feel like I should have felt when it came to Aquaman and Ocean Master.
True, but then you would end up having those comparisons of it, right? But to add to your point, the last time that people really saw Aquaman, I would say, was really the Justice League cartoon, Justice League, and then Justice League Unlimited.
Yeah,
where he is a completely different character.
Yeah,
but he's still cool, right? And I think that's what people needed to do, because unfortunately Justice League is still a kid show and it still has that connotation. So like Rome is saying, that for the casual people, Aquaman needs to be cool.
I agree.
Because to the casual person, Aquaman's just that fish dude.
Yeah.
He's that butt of a joke all the time. So for you to get someone who is as cool as an actor and has that aura like Jason Momoa, then you kind of elevate him a little more. Is it necessary for the comic book people? No. But for a casual audience, you need it.
Oh, fantastic choice. I mean, the amount of people are going to want to see Jason Momoa pop out of the water in slow motion, flip his hair back, and you see all of his tattoos and just him in general. I mean, I thought he was fantastic in the Snyder Cut when Bruce goes to find him and he's like that tough Aquaman who's like, I am from the sea, I am from Atlantis, these are my people, I don't need you, I'm reluctant to join the Justice League, all that kind of stuff. Say, go ahead.
Yeah.
Spider-Man, are you up for sale?
No.
I was actually just replying. I didn't know how it'll pop up or how if there's like a reply feature.
It came up on the comment. It looks like.
Yeah, I saw it.
But yeah, no. Ultimately, I think they needed that, and then the visuals added a lot to the movie as well. For me,
one of the best part.
I think I remember a big worry going into the movie was how is this going to look underwater? Are they going to be like blue, 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 talking underwater? And they are, and there's certain parts where there is, but most of it isn't. And I think most of it looks really, really, really good.
I agree.
I will say the final fight between him and Ocean Master when they're on the gigantic sub and like it's thunderstorming and you see just their armors just in the light, in the rain. I was like, this is nice.
Listen,
Aquaman 2's going along with that.
I will agree from the part, if I were to take out the Middle Earth part, I guess we'll talk about Aquaman now. If we were to take out Middle Earth, parts of it, because it's cool when he gets a trident, and you take the adventure from when he has his kind of 1v1 combat first round with Orm, to that adventure with Mira, to go to the Sahara to look for this thing, to ultimately get to finding the trident. Skip some dialogue there because there are a lot of dialogue pieces that I didn't care for in this movie. But then from there, you kind of jump back to, and then you get to the end fight. There are a lot of things when you look back at it and we say, does this stand the test of time? I don't know if the entire movie stands the test of time, but there are a lot of parts that I would say outdo a fairly good handful of things we've seen in the last, say, 5 years.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I'm just excited. I'm excited. I'm happy that we get to be excited for DC, right? Yeah. I think the past 3 movies have allowed us to do that. The Flash did let us down, but I do think that the build up to it was still very hyped
going into it. You can go back and check that video out.
Well, absolutely. We talked about it like it was going to be the best thing ever, and it wasn't. But we had fun. We had fun though. Blue Beetle, we had fun, and I think we're gonna have fun with this. The more that we see of it, and I think like as more merchandise comes out and things get revealed. I saw the still of him on what's his seahorse's name?
Ooh, you got me on that one.
Whatever his seahorse's name. That still.
It does look cool.
You know how cool. You know how good you have to be as a marketing team, and even not as a marketing team, as a
seahorse over.
Yeah, to make a seahorse look cool, a fish guy on a seahorse to look cool, and people are like, "Yo, that is sick."
$39.99 pop rides. There you go. Funko's all over that right now. They're in there.
Oh yeah, give it a
3D printing their stuff.
Yeah. So,
damn, it's a badass seahorse.
Right? It looks good.
It is cool. It's very cool.
We need to get a picture for the. How do I share my screen?
Yeah. And I think if they do more of that stuff where they really show Aquaman controlling the sea
for those who
even more
have not seen,
dude.
Yeah.
Shout out to Nerd Stash.
That's not the one that I was thinking about though. There's another one. Storm. Okay, Storm. Thank you, Rose. I was gonna say there you go. You see on the right, go to your right.
The purple?
That one.
Yeah, that's the one.
No, the other one.
This one. What?
No.
This guy.
That
one. No, I don't know where it go. What?
Oh man,
dude, that's the one I know, dude. It's the purple guy right there, just chilling. Just boop, 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 boop,
that. There you go. Right there. Go back up. Go back up. No, go back up. Top right. There you go.
Oh,
like look at that shot.
Oh, that seahorse has easily 120 HP. Easily.
That looks sick. That looks sick.
It does. It's got an octopus on there too. Oh, my tab is not sharing that tab.
I mean, think about this.
It's got an octopus on there too.
When did Aquaman come out? Hold on.
2018. I forget what month.
Think about this. If
December 2018.
If they do things like they did, like they did in Injustice with Aquaman, you know, like his super move where he's like taking you throughout the ocean and using like other beasts to bite you and beat you up. Imagine they do that here, even more than they did on the first one, because they did it on the first one, but not as much.
The first one was too. Here's my one thing of where I felt, and I'll do this comparison. I do want to talk to you guys about this. My comparison of how I feel about Aquaman, and again, showing you the scale that DC can go through in a solo movie. This movie would feel very much like an Avengers movie to me. How much world you can build, characters you can bring in. I mean, you could. I think you could ultimately go a 1-for-1 and recreate the Avengers movie simply with just Aquaman level characters, and you would have a banger of a movie. And maybe that's something that's in here. I'm not gonna. I don't know, but to what extent? The issue is you need to bring in. It stinks that this is the end, and where I kind of feel soft about this movie and thinking about what I know about Aquaman, it would be such a cool way to world build, and why I will always say Aquaman should have started the DCEU, not Man of Steel. World building is insane, the possibilities that could come from this. And you have a character who can not only flesh out land, but can flesh out sea, and one of the biggest things. What did people love? Visual spectacle. The imaginative portrayal of Atlantis. It's something that Marvel didn't really do great when it came to Namor and it came to Talokan. That was something that was missing for a lot of people. They wanted to see more of that. And DC, they just have to do it and not, like Rome said, James Wan. I don't know. I think there's a lot of potential here. And what the first movie didn't give the DCEU overall, I don't think people are going to have those lenses on when they watch this movie, which I think can really, really help it during December, during a holiday time. A lot of eyes could be on this, and there's really no expectations because this isn't going to lead to anything. So you go into it and you're just like, it's the movie, which is how movies should be seen.
But it's also that double-edged sword, though, of you're going to have that subset of people that are like, oh, well, you know, nothing's important, so I don't need to go watch it. And
it's going to have that Blue Beetle effect, unfortunately.
Exactly. I was going to say it's going to have the same thing, though to a different extent, I think, because at least Blue Beetle, you could watch Blue Beetle as a standalone film and still love it.
Yeah.
People are going to watch Aquaman, and the bad faith people are going to be like, well, now we're never seeing Jason Momoa ever again. So, you know, you get those stupid types.
You sound like Goofy right there. You sound just like Goofy. I'm sorry. I watched a Goofy movie a couple weeks ago, and it sounded exactly like him.
But, you know, they say those stupid, Goofy type of things, and then that hits the internet, and then the people who can't watch everything and choose not to, they just see that because that's what gets pushed out and that's what people are interacting with, and then suddenly Aquaman's trash.
Listen, I don't want to move on from Aquaman. But I think that's a perfect way to segue into the next piece for the MCU. Because what you said right there is exactly why I feel like we're seeing all of these rumors, all of these legacy characters, all of these types from the 2000s that are coming back in Deadpool 3 and are rumored for Secret Wars. And it's because people want to see the biggest possible thing. And I think Disney and Marvel understand that people are going to show up and be like, this is a once in a, I mean, this is something I would say. It's a once in a lifetime movie. I'm never going to see Hugh Jackman and Wesley Snipes and Robert Downey Jr., Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland. Like, you thought No Way Home was cool. Wait until we do this. Like, it feels very cash grabby. It feels like we're going to take story and take substance and throw it to the wind. And we're going to say, you guys show up. Hey, let's do something crazy and break 2 billion in the first whatever. Like, that's where I feel like we're going right now. And I think to that point, Hero Scroll and Spider-Man, what you guys have been saying this whole time about Aquaman and why it did hit 1 billion. I think people would rather talk about all the people that are in this movie versus what this movie did underneath the layers and what we talk about on the Point 3 podcast. It is easier to enjoy all the flash.
Yeah, it is, because you don't have to think about it that hard. Is it me or is Secret Wars getting too big?
Spider-Man?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like as soon as they announced like the Secret Wars movie, we kind of like expected all these crazy cameos and people coming back. And now that we're actually seeing like the rumors of it happening, I wasn't expecting it to turn a lot of people off and just kind of like go into this whole cameo fatigue thing. I think it just has to be executed right. And the sad thing is, it's got very little time to be executed right. But at the same time, do you really need like stories behind all these cameos? Or as long as they do it in a better faith than what the Flash did with the DC stuff and those, I don't even want to talk about it just because it was so bad.
Listen, man.
But I don't know. I'm excited. I would love to see some of these people go on the screen for the first time, even if it's executed good or not. As long as it's just like them actually being there and not no CGI stuff.
Physically, do I think they'll show up? Yes. However, I feel like Phase 4 told us what Secret Wars is going to be. People completely rejected the expansion of the MCU character pool and said, we don't want backstory. I don't want to see Miss Marvel and how she got her powers. I just want to see Miss Marvel. I don't care about what Jen does in twerking. I just want to see her be a Hulk. I don't care about Moon Knight and everything he's got going on. I want to see him be Moon Knight. I really do believe that a fair chunk of the audience who was very vocal about the MCU not being what they thought it was for Phase 4 and then really rejecting Phase 5, I believe that this is why Secret Wars is what it is. I think they're going to get away with it. I do not think that there's going to be a whole lot of substance in this movie. It's going to be really cool. There's going to be a lot of really cool people in it, and they'll take bits and pieces to satisfy. I know Rums, you did put it out there. The rumor is that Doctor Strange 3 is called Time Runs Out in the Hickman run that leads to Secret Wars. I do think that these solo movies will have some really cool core pieces from these really important runs that led to 2015 Secret Wars. But I think Secret Wars as a whole, given everything that's coming down the pike right now, lack of storytelling, it's going to feel too quick, and I don't think that there's enough time for it to really sink in, to feel like the Infinity Saga did. Because even right now, what do we have?
Not much.
And the Marvels.
The thing is, for me, right? Every time I hear one of these rumors, I have to ask why. You know, because one of the big ones that came out, I think, in the past couple days is the Wesley Snipes returning as Blade. And I genuinely have to ask, besides a small subset of fans who really, really like Blade, and don't get me wrong, Wesley Snipes as Blade is cool. Do you need it? Will you survive, not seeing Wesley Snipes again? Yes, you would. That you contrast that with something like Tom, Toby, and Andrew all together. That's must see. That's something that's going to sell you. Wesley Snipes returning as Blade isn't going to sell you. You know why? Because he's going to come out in about one scene, say an F-bomb, kill some guys, maybe some vampires, and then he's going to leave, and then you're never going to see him again. It's going to be all of like a minute. And he's going to be next to Nicolas Cage. Is that one scene going to save the movie? Absolutely not. When you contrast that with something like No Way Home, where they're in it for all of 20, 30 minutes, that there's something substantial there.
Yeah.
Dafoe is back as Goblin almost the entire movie. The villains are back for almost the entire movie. There's something to bite into and chew on it and really enjoy it. Secret Wars is just going to be a bunch of boom, 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 boom. And then people are going to be like, wait, what?
You said it right there. Think of the character pool in the roster. It has to be bigger than Endgame. It has to be bigger than Endgame. But even for No Way Home, Dafoe was the biggest focal point from a villain standpoint. You had Doc Ock and all the stuff he did. You had Sandman. You had Electro. You had Lizard. How much screen time did they get? And you had the fit Toby, Tom, and Andrew on the screen. Those other four fell to the wayside. And then you get Jameson's cameo of like, let me look up in the sky. And then it's like, darn you, Ben, Spider-Man. Like, how do you go about? And right now it's still a one-part movie. Like, it's just a single movie, which was wild when they announced it in the first place.
That Kang Dynasty is just weird. It's just weird. Having Kang in Secret Wars is just one of those, like, you have to ask yourself, what are you going to do? And there gets to a point where certain things just become too much. And even if it's good, it's also the question of what comes next, right? Rose is talking about a Hulk versus Wolverine movie, which would be awesome, but think about this. Post-Secret Wars, how do you write that? How do you write that in? There's no, realistically, Hulk and Wolverine and the X-Men are hopefully going to fight together. So now you're going to have to find some convoluted way of making them fight each other now, instead of just letting it play out naturally from now till then, And I think of Secret Wars as going back into gaming media, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Have either of you played it?
Heck yeah.
Dude, that is epic though.
It is. It's incredible. It's incredible, right? Because Sakurai, the director, got every single character that he ever put in these games, he put them back. And then he got the impossible character in Sora. A character whose shoes, belts, and swords are owned by one property or one company, and his feet are owned by a different one. And he got him in the game. And now everybody's like, well, now what? Because the next Smash Brothers game, if it doesn't have every single character, it's going to suck. Yeah. According to people. It's going to be disappointing. And I feel like this is the same thing with Secret Wars, that even if you get every single person, whatever you do next is going to suck to people. It's going to be the endgame effect, but times like a billion.
Dude, okay, I'll throw this out. Just a quick yes or no. Spider-Man knows everything first. Should they, at this point, given everything that we know, should the MCU reboot?
Yes.
Okay. Add context after Secret Wars.
After Secret Wars?
Yeah.
Wait.
Should the MCU reboot after Secret Wars?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought that was the question.
I know, but for everyone who's watching it, I know you know, but like I just want to throw it out there.
I see. My fault.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I think it should reboot. It's like it'll add a new, fresh take. Like honestly, if they have the ultimate MCU that they could easily just go into and start spilling out another 50 movies for the next 20 million years. That is gonna cross a lot of money. They're gonna make a lot of money. Might be a little fatigue or like a break. They got to give it a little break in between, but I'd be fine with a reboot. Like, there's only so many stories you could tell in one singular universe. And just like the comics always did reboots all the time. Why can't the movies do that?
Does today's modern fan allow that though?
No, that's the problem.
If
They're
done
gonna
right,
be eating it alive.
if they do it right.
But with so many eyes on things now, the vocal majority of people, you can be vocal anywhere, anytime, on any platform, and you can catch some wind, and then a company I will not name names will post you on their borrow this DC. But even still, I would very much argue the MCU is its own thing.
It is its own thing, but it does need to reboot. And I look at it again, I don't always like comparing it to other things, but when you look at other things that do it and they succeed and they really grant new life into that property, right? And I look at gaming, and Spider Brando said comics, and I mean, yes, they do it all the time. Number ones always sell really good, right? Daredevil ended last month. Last Wednesday, Daredevil 1 came out. What was the book everybody was talking about? Daredevil 1. It works for comics. It works for games. You look at things like God of War. God of War got stale. Very stale. It went from a game that was revolutionary in the action genre with the PS2, with the very first one, the trilogy that everybody loved, right? And then they started coming out with games that weren't as good and had kind of convoluted the story. And then they were like, okay, you know what we're going to do? We're throwing it out. Kind of. It happened, but it also didn't. Now here's Kratos and he's a dad. And what happened? It sold a bajillion copies. Ragnarok sold a bajillion copies. Rome says it exactly. The other property I was going to say, Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat has rebooted twice in the past like 20 years, and it sells like hotcakes.
But
why? Because they generate interest.
Well, hang on before you even enter the DCU. That's a reboot, and people are like, nah.
But they're doing it wrong.
How do you really? Okay. So are we saying just the fact that there isn't a transition, let's just call it what it is, and they didn't flashpoint it properly?
Yeah.
Just because it's a hard cut and they're just like, nah, none of this over here. We're just gonna start this new piece and reboot.
Yeah. There's like no event that like made it clear and concise.
Okay.
I think Marvel has it pretty set in stone with a Secret Wars type event to be able to reboot and explain things like efficiently. Like all they have to do is just like I lost my train of thought. All they have to do is just show like a new universe like being formed by a celestial, and then boom, like post-credit scene, Miles Morales. That's just out of nowhere. I'm just throwing that out of nowhere just because he was the first one that came up to mind when I thought of
probably is your only answer, but yeah, that's
and
like,
then boom, that'll be like, who wouldn't be hype, or X-Men, or just like Wolverine claw thing, and then like how that'll bring up so much hype. No matter if there's a 10-year, 20-year gap, everyone's gonna be like, where's this Miles at? Where's this Wolverine at? Like, I want to see what they're gonna go down this
They
path.
say that
for.
now about all the loose ends in the MCU, though. If you're saying everything is done, and we're gonna leave you with only one loose end, and you have to wait for us to start something else, that's what it has to be for people to be like, okay, I'm in. I am either back on the train or I'm still hanging on for dear life. I think this is a very, very good example of easier said than done.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the thing, right? You look at something like Flashpoint, where Flashpoint has had one good adaptation, and that was its original story. They tried to do it in the Flash TV show, and it wasn't good because they did it in like one episode, I think it was. Mm-hmm. And then they tried to do it in a movie, and it wasn't good. So it definitely is an easier.
I just got this bad boy.
Look at that. Nice. Think about how cool it would have been to see Thomas Wayne's Batman.
Yeah, exactly.
But it is a lot easier said than done because they also have to answer to other companies. They have to answer to shareholders. They have to answer to Disney ultimately. And Disney is a very money hungry company. They ultimately they see the dollar sign as the end game. That's their end game.
If this was still Kevin Feige's world, I would have faith in this reboot and for the future of whatever the MCU becomes. However, given how long these things are being pushed, and you can only delay things for so long, Secret Wars is going to happen. I do not believe that they push it off in another 10 years, which at this point, I kind of feel like that might be the answer, to be honest with you, is, okay, let's push it back, 5 to 7, 10 would be preferred, but let's push it back. Let's tell everyone, reset expectations. You're going to get an Avengers movie, but you're going to get some decent sized Civil War level movies before then. And we're going to keep building this world because right now, if I were to ask you guys, and Rome's, I'll ask you too, and anyone else is watching, in terms of world building for this multiverse saga, at this point, we're right on the cusp of being like, hey, the big movie's coming out. When we knew that Infinity War was going to come out, how fleshed out was the MCU?
Very.
I would argue in hindsight, it was pretty darn good on a cosmic and to street level.
I was going to say the only thing that was maybe missing was like the mystical side with Doctor Strange, but it introduced it well enough and left it open-ended, but everything else was introduced well.
Everything's open and there's stuff. How I don't see a world where they wrap all this stuff up. If you're going to reboot, I don't.
That's honestly during most of my comments about rebooting was just like them either just not tying up all the loose ends.
I think they would.
So like that part sucks, but I don't know. It's interesting stuff.
How can you tie up all the loose ends though? And this is why I asked, going back to Secret Wars, is this too big already? Because if you want to, I would say the more important thing is to tie up your story, right?
Sure.
You can't do that if you have 20 million cameos. And if you're trying to give Wesley Snipes a cameo, if you're trying to give, Halle Berry a cameo, or if you're trying to give, who knows, Nick Cage a cameo, CGI or not. But, you can't. And that's why I say it's too big. Because if they really were going to do it, if they want to have their cake and eat it, this movie needs to be 10 hours long.
Dude, the most massive miss, and listen, they can try all they want in Deadpool 3 to recreate a battle world or whatever it might be. Again, that doesn't make sense to me that that's the rumor, that that's what it's going to be. And you're going to have duplicate characters, maybe potentially Daniel Radcliffe as Wolverine, which kind of steals thunder from not only the MCU Wolverine, but Hugh Jackman himself. Exactly. There's no buildup. The best example that I have of this that they should have been doing all along, and as time goes on, this feels more and more valid, is you take what Netflix did with the Defender saga. That to me is you start bunching these groups in, and you may ultimately have, 3 or 4 teams of Avenger level characters, but what does that really mean these days? It's just superheroes that are all fighting alongside of each other. I feel like it means nothing. But you have these characters who there should be a mystical team. There should be a cosmic team. There should be an Earth-based team. There should be a larger Earth-based team. And you have Kang, but now we're looking over Kang. And Loki is rumored to lead directly in the Secret Wars and the Marvels, to lead directly in the Secret Wars. I'm like, yo, are you guys just jumping in that sacred timeline just right to the end? And we're just going to be like, who cares about the Celestial? That was the old MCU.
And if that's true, though, that's 4 years. Then that would mean that is absolutely 4 years till you don't get a resolution to that. Like, if Loki does that, if the Marvels does that, you'd have to wait till 2027 to really get a resolution, and that's just not the way to go.
We're not talking about delays.
I mean, they made us wait from 2012 to. They made us wait 6 years from Avengers 1 post-credit scene with Thanos to Infinity War.
Yeah, but we didn't know what was to come, and we were coming off of like 2000s level movies where it's like, we're like, if we got 2 the second installment, we were like, whoa.
True, but you also got stones. The stones were popping up, so they were setting it up little by little. He in Age of Ultron, he was like, all right, I'll do it myself. So you're like, oh, well, okay, that guy's coming. The casual person. Oh, that dude's going to be a problem later. What does he want? Here. Yeah. Oh, now he's here. Oh, crap. Here, they're not doing that, right? We're like, okay, Kang was in Loki. Okay, Kang was in Ant-Man, but that's not the same Kang. When are we seeing Kang again? Okay, Loki, but that's not Kang that we know. So what's going on? It's one of those, like, they're juggling a lot, and people are going to get confused. People are going to get angry.
I'm on that train.
Fair.
I'm on that train of it. Here's the thing. I shouldn't feel like I'm trying to put this together and it's like some MCU mystery where I'm like, ooh, what is going to happen next? Now I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, I'm trying to sort this out so I can make sense of this to like people who are asking me questions of, well, why is He Who Remains showing up here? And then Kang, did he die? Did he not die? But I saw that Victor Timely was supposed to be in half of Loki. Why is that the rumor? I saw him in a post-credit scene, but he's here now. Like, blah, 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 blah. I don't know. I mean, I don't, like, what is the end game for this?
Secret Wars. But how?
But how is right? I don't know. I don't know. And here's the thing that I want to throw out here. There's another rumor. Here. Cap 4, Brave New World, may potentially be Civil War 2.
Oh God.
I said that a couple months ago. I feel like I said that a couple months ago.
It was something that we discussed about the size of the movie, what it should be based on point. Hashtag on point 1.3.
Oh, I can't point the right side.
I'll point.
And real quick. Oh, my bad. I didn't know.
Well, Funny King doesn't really need to Secret Wars, which is also true.
And that's where I go back to the MCU is its own entity, and it's just gonna. I'm not getting the adaptation that I probably would want, but going back to Cat 4 and Civil War, if that's before Secret Wars, again, we're skipping over Kang Dynasty. Like, let me lead up to Kang Dynasty. I don't care about Secret Wars at this point, and they haven't made me care about Secret Wars yet.
They haven't that's the thing. They haven't made us care about a few things, right? And that's not to say we're not excited. And I really want people who see this to not really think that we're bashing on the MCU. It's more so their concerns.
Sure.
And their genuine questions about, like, when are we going to see these things? And, but for example, like Civil War 2, if you were going to go by the comics, it has X-Men. And it's like, how are you going to do that? Oh, wait, you can't. So what are you going to do now? And then how is that going to lead to Secret Wars? Because Secret Wars has a lot of players that the MCU is missing, both the older story and the new one. Yeah, absolutely. We're critiquing. And you can critique things that you love.
And we do. Spent a lot of time on this stuff.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that.
Dude, it's a Civil War II storyline without mutants, without X-Men, without having this. Again, there would have to be a really nice build.
There's no point.
Exactly. There wouldn't be a point, in my opinion. But I still don't think the story that's there of you have Ross's team and then you have Sam's team or Ross. Yeah, Thunderbolt Ross. Duh.
Yeah.
Like you have a Red Hulk who's like, you need to do what I say when I say it because I'm the Red Hulk now. And then Sam is like, no, this isn't what Steve would have wanted. We can do whatever we want. I shouldn't be your puppet. I'm no one's puppet. Here's my team. And then they're like, well, great power, great responsibility kind of thing. Like, we shouldn't be destroying cities, even though we're doing it fighting you right now. It's, I don't care for that storyline, personally.
No,
you're not. It's
If they did Secret Invasion the way we had thought with I mean, nah, I don't know where I was gonna go with that.
Dude, that's the thing. This build up, even if they did Secret Invasion the way that we would have said it, to what end? Even if we go the Armor Wars route,
everything else doesn't fall in place.
Nothing. It feels so separate.
Yeah.
So separate to the point of maybe they do, if they go a Battle World route, just spitballing a theory here. Would Secret Wars feel better for you guys if they almost took the Infinity War route and they dusted majority of the characters, and the people who are getting the screen time are a lot of the legacy characters?
That'd be pretty cool.
Kang Dynasty, maybe Deadpool. I still don't think Deadpool does as much as people are saying it's going to for an overall MCU.
I don't think it is.
But if a Kang Dynasty ultimately, let's just call it, implodes the MCU, and we're left with the remnants of any Marvel superhero movie you've ever seen in your life and characters they're going to pull in, are you guys okay if they trim the fat, essentially, if you will? So we're not talking no Sam, no Thunderbolts, no Yelena, no Bucky, Mark Ruffalo, see ya. She-Hulk, no one wanted you. Miss Marvel had your movie. Like, all these people that have had stuff up to this point, bounce. And we get Spider-Man and Daredevil, Shang-Chi, like all the people who are like top 10 of people's lists of people they want to see again.
I think so. I mean, it's what they do in Secret Wars. They kill off everybody else and they bring them back in their own different way. At least Doctor Doom does in his own reimagined way. But then you have your core who remember what happened and trying to get back to what's normal. So I mean, and I think Secret War 2015 is a great story. So if they're able to do it right, then I definitely think that's the way to go. And you just have, if you let these cameos be Battle World cameos, like if you have Wesley Snipes as Blade, let him be that he governs Transylvania, whatever. That's vampires, right? He governs Transylvania, and they're like, hey, we need your help. And he's like, okay. And okay, cool. And then you see him in the final battle.
Yeah. I'd be okay with that. I would be okay with that. And again, I will point back to, for MCU, Multiverse of Madness is this blueprint. And if it is true that Sam Raimi is the director, I believe that we have something along those lines. Again, just expanded. And so I do feel kind of those Battle World overlords will be some of these characters. I think that they could play with each of these. I mean, could you imagine having Ghost Rider overseeing the underworld part of this stuff, the mystical side of things, where Strange, Dormammu, Clea, all those people who come up, that's kind of where you insert yourself. And they got to do something to make it more interesting. If something's leaked, I need it to be more interesting than just another cameo.
Yeah. and that's why I say at this point it's just too many cameos, and I think it needs more substance. You know, it needs more story, and really them just driving home the, hey, we hear you. We know cameos are cool, and we'll give you some, but we're also going to focus on a fantastic story.
Ooh, minus Matt Shackman.
Yeah.
Who reportedly is... Did we talk about this?
The Doctor Doom thing?
No, Fantastic Four. Matt Shackman left directing Fantastic Four.
Yeah,
it is directorless.
Yeah,
once again.
When is this movie due out?
It's supposed to be Phase 6, February? Next year?
Let's go.
Got pushed a year? I forget what the new slot is that it took. Rome's, I'm 100% on board with you for this comment. Do you think DC could pick it up from Marvel and people... Oh, wait, no, maybe was it that one? Yeah. Let me read it again.
It's scheduled for May 2nd, 2025.
No.
Good luck. That movie ain't coming out till 2026.
Yeah. Oh, dude. I'm starting to feel this way a little bit more. There's some cracks in my faith just from the standpoint of, given everything, real life and current saga status, that I think they're just going to pump out a movie and throw a bunch of people in our face and just be like, you're going to spend it to show up and watch it, because I'm going to watch it anyways. You have my money. It could be a terrible movie and I'm going, so you can just count my ticket.
Yeah.
But
good old Marvel. We're having fun though.
Yeah. Real quick. Overreaction, underreaction to this rumor. I want to save this one for these two. I have two. I guess three things for you guys.
Go for it.
Loki has some undisclosed casting rumors that Henry Cavill is going to be in season 2. I know it's a previous rumor. They nixed it. We got some stuff. Guess what? It is reported again. Henry Cavill is going to be playing a character in Loki season 2. Overreaction, underreaction.
I would say what's like in the middle.
Just reaction.
It's a reaction. I think Loki's gonna have a big cameo or a big reveal. Is it Henry Cavill? I don't think so.
That would be massive.
Who would he play?
Yeah, exactly. Why would they?
Hyperion? Sentry?
That one of those two, most likely. Some sort of reprising a Superman-like character.
But would it make sense in Loki, you know?
Captain Britain? I've been dying for that fan casting for my entire life.
Maybe. I'd say reaction. I don't know if it's... Okay. I'm not over or under on it.
I would say over. I don't think it's going to happen. That's a win-win, because if I don't think it happens and it happens, I'm going to be like, oh. But if it doesn't show up, I'm like, I told you. So I'm going to stick with over. Playing the game.
Spider-Brando?
I'm going over. I mean, it'll be cool if he's in there, obviously, but like, I'm going over just on the fact that I don't think it's happening.
Y'all, I'll still say this. I have fan casted him as every possible person in the MCU, from Reed Richards to Doctor Doom.
Reed Richards.
I don't care. Give me a buff Reed Richards. I'll let some stretchy just one piece it through everyone's face.
Let him be Human Torch. All right, what's your other one?
Okay. Next one I got Spectacular Spider-Man Part 4. Not reportedly to be focusing on the mystical aspects of things, featuring a sorcerer, i.e. Doctor Strange. However, it is back to the streets, focusing on crime and street level characters such as Daredevil and Kingpin. Overreaction, underreaction to that potential rumor.
Take my money right now. It's just a power-up card. Fucking GameStop. Zoom enhance it all you want. All you people want.
Everybody was like, "Whoa, you just flashed it!" Wow.
Expired GameStop membership card. Like, give me the money right now. I would cry for a Daredevil Spider-Man, just like Rome said, crossover. There's a Spider-Man 1. No, there's just this random Spider-Man PC game I had. And it had like a Daredevil, Deadpool, and Spidey crossover in there. Or no, it might have just been Daredevil and Spidey. It's one of
Is
the
it
best
Web of
games I ever played.
Shadows?
I don't know. It was just like
Oh,
it was a very, I don't know. It wasn't Web of Shadows. It was from like 2000, like maybe 1998.
oh
Definitely
no,
wasn't
then
Web of Shadows.
I'm very off.
Yeah.
I'm very off.
It was like a 1998 Spider-Man game that was just like very bad graphics. And it had Daredevil in it though, so that was cool. I always love seeing them interact. I like seeing the Deadpool interaction with them. And I'm just like, I'd be happy to keep Spidey back on to the friendly neighborhood levels again.
Agree.
I think that's what they set up with No Way Home, so I want that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Especially,
there's all those other rumors of him being like, oh, he's gonna be the lead Avenger in Secret Wars, and I'm like, what the fuck's this dude gonna do against Kang? Like,
Get that black suit on.
Yeah, I mean, that's a different story. That would be cool.
I do think they're gonna do something with the symbiote. I don't know what. Do they make that a multi-movie thing?
I mean, I think that's how you end that movie.
The first one with him getting the suit.
I think 4, you end it with him getting the suit, because I think with him, I think the nice thing with Marvel characters specifically is you got to do the flow, man. It can't be all cosmic or all street or all team up. Like, you need the symbiote kind of puts him back on that cosmic level. And I think people think they're like, oh, you have an alien, blah, blah, blah. And people instantly think like, oh, outer space. Okay. But it's not necessarily the case. However, it would be nice to get him back to the streets. Bam, you get him with the symbiote. Then have him get rid of the symbiote and then go back to Shang-Chi, or if you bring in Iron Fist, get his Kunlun training, go that kind of stuff. Like, you can play with Spider-Man that way, live action, where you plop him everywhere.
Do they do 4? He gets the suit at the end. 5 is a Kraven Last Hunt style type movie. It could be Kraven. They could just bring in Kraven. 6 is Venom.
Is he surviving the reboot? Because I think I'll stay on record for this. Aaron Taylor Johnson needs a crossover with Tom Holland Spider-Man all day. I don't know if that's. I think that you can get away with that, and that can be. Those interactions might make you some money. I think that they're good enough to do that. However,
Craven's getting love. He's in the game. He's getting his movie. I don't see why they don't bring him into the MCU.
They should. All the money that they're gonna make from Secret Wars, start buying some of these guys. Sony, let's go, pony up.
Dude, 5. I'm telling you, man. 4, 5, 6. Make it a symbiote trilogy.
A symbiote trilogy, I'd be down for. I don't know if Tom Holland would be down for that.
I think he would. You don't think so?
I think what would be cool. Sorry to cut you guys off.
No. Go for it.
Give him the suit in 5. Let him kind of keep it, but put it away, and then that's when he brings it back in Secret Wars, and it's like, man, this is tough, but I need some extra power. That would be interesting.
Does he
a little different spin?
Does it make him addicted though, as it does in the comics original? Does he kind of become addicted to it? Because I feel like they kind of need to do that, right?
Hear me out. I'm stealing this completely from wrestling. If Tom Holland does live in the MCU for the next 10 plus years, he goes through a couple Avengers movies plus another trilogy. You have to give him a run with the suit and let him play a character in a different way to let him expand on his acting ability. Otherwise, you're just playing the same character. It's not fresh. Let him get his heel turn in. Let him be someone different. And then let him come back to who he is before his send-off. That's how you have to play him, I personally think. The suit's got to bring out a darker side, but yes, that kind of addictive side. Dude.
Do they do Death of Spider-Man? And that's how they bring in Miles?
I would be fine with that. I mean, that would...
Like, you build up with the symbiote, right? So 4, 5, 6 is kind of him. 4, he gets the suit at the end. 5 and 6, he's using it, right? He loses it at some point. Maybe in between, or maybe after Secret Wars, right? Somewhere else. He finds out that the symbiote's alien, like in the movie, or in the comics, sorry. He gets rid of it. Venom kills him. And then you get Miles. And Miles v. Venom. Oh my God, there you go.
That's the thing, dude. That's what you need to do. I literally got goosebumps when you first brought that up, though.
Because I'm like, they already bring in a lot from Ultimate Universe. And I haven't really read much of the Ultimate Universe. And I know that I'm pretty sure that Venom doesn't kill him in the Ultimate Universe. But I do think that's how it would be cool to see. At least you adapt that story and then you make him beloved, you know? And it becomes one of the big losses as you've seen this kid go through as an adult. You know, you've seen Tom Holland from a younger Tom Holland into an older Tom Holland, and then you pass the mantle on to Miles, who already people kind of already say is a good replacement for Peter Parker anyways.
Who is this Miles? This is the MCU Miles?
MCU Miles. Someone new.
MCU Miles this would be very good. Very
good. I like that. Marvel.
Don't hire us. It's strike time.
It's not. I wasn't going to say that. I was going to say that if you're listening,
subscribe.
And we'd love to chat after you pay everybody. And then once the strike is done, we'll see you at the red carpet for Spider-Man Ultimate Fallout in 2034. All right? We'll see you there. We don't even want to work for you. We don't.
Just free red carpet events.
We just want to go
all
to
expenses paid.
Yeah. Thank you.
We choose the hotel.
Yes. Well, unless, they're like, hey, you want to stay like in this really fancy one, then sure. You can go for it.
With the cast.
Yeah.
And one free interview of a member of our choosing.
Yes. Thank you.
That's
you,
easy.
Marlon.
Yeah.
Thank you, Marlon. We don't want to work for you.
No. Wow. That was sick. If you're watching this, Rome's in there, you're still on here, but
pay y'all as Marvel rumor sniper. People would end up hating us though, because we'll just be like, no, that's a stupid rumor.
Yeah.
Which we kind of already do anyways.
Not on point with point 3. No. All right. Well, that was awesome. I just have one final thought. As we do with every movie, those of you watching, feel free to play along. Aquaman 2 box office projections. Spider Brando is 2 for the last 2.
Yeah,
right.
He's in the lead right now. He's in the lead.
Aquaman 2 box office.
Thank you.
You're watching. Appreciate
it's coming out
you. December. Drop your thoughts. Box office. Overall box office.
Overall.
Or you want to just do opening weekend? Yeah, let's do both. Why not?
Let's do both. Opening weekend, I'm gonna go with 80 mil.
Are we counting the preview days?
Yeah.
Okay.
Opening 80 mil, overall 250.
Overall 250?
250 mil?
Actually,
Dude, Shazam out here.
Yeah, no, that's a
Zachary
lot.
Levi is just giving us all the love.
No, I'm saying that's all you're giving it?
Yeah, because it's
I
technically
mean, Blue Beetle, like 115. I'm trying to base it off of DC fatigue, so people not really caring.
but it's holiday. It's coming off of Millie, Billy.
Yeah, but like the whole DCU and Aquaman was just different back when that came off. Back when that came out, we were excited to see him. Now it's just like this is probably gonna be his last movie unless James Gunn decides to keep him in there. Who really? I don't know. If people weren't going out to see the new vision for the DCU, like the last time we saw him in the Flash, he was just like a joke drunk.
But do you want to be there when the ship goes down? Do you want to see people are really interested in that stuff?
I don't know. Do DC people ever go see DC movies? Like,
no.
But I will say that
hey,
DC people weren't what carried Aquaman to $1 billion. It was casual people. So Rome's is saying
That's
opening
true.
weekend 68 to 88. No, listen, man. Here's the thing. If you're playing with Point 3 Podcast, we appreciate you listening, but you got to give us like a solid number. You can't give yourself a giant window. That's 20 million window. We need I'll give you a 5 mil window. You can give yourself a 5 million window. But I'm going to say,
that's a fair point.
and I genuinely think this movie's going to break 100 million. I'm going to say 110 million.
Opening weekend, 110.
It's out in December. It's out in December, and it has no competition. There is literally nothing else remotely that is in the same movie category that's going to really compete with it. I think the only thing is a kids movie. Those don't really compete. I genuinely think this movie is going to make 110 first weekend.
Okay, what's total?
Avatar: Way of Water, which came out last year during the holiday, made I think like 150 because it had no competition. So I'm gonna say it. I think this is getting 110 mil.
Bold. What's its overall though?
Overall, 650.
Ooh.
I think it's going to be less. If it's not, I'll be very, very happy. But I think 650. I think 250. Whatever Spider Brando said was disrespectful to Aquaman.
Wait. One question. We can look at this after as it gets closer and throw this out again. Is it releasing worldwide, or is this going to be in phases?
That I don't know.
Because that'll matter.
I have no idea.
Blue Beetle still has an Asia Pacific release coming up, I thought.
Everything is saying December 20th.
Worldwide? Okay. On the assumption that it opens everywhere it's supposed to open first weekend. Domestically, I would give it like 20. I'll probably say I would say 75 flat. 75 opening weekend flat. Overall, I think this sits at like 450, maybe 500. Anything over 500, I feel like is a win.
Yes, big time. For DC, yeah.
But I really, really think that this movie does have a chance if it has a decent story and it does what people didn't like in the first one. The visuals are good. And if the strike does end and they can somewhat promote it.
Dude, if they are able to promote this movie, it'll be even more. I'm saying just purely off of like no
I think you can get
marketing.
Yeah. If you can get people to see this movie, get the red carpet premieres, I feel like people are going to have fairly positive reviews, and I don't think people are going to be very harsh on this. I just don't think it's going to be that bad. That'll be like, wow, this looks terrible, blah, 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 blah. If people love The Flash, Amber Heard promotes it too. No, she's on some remote island now. Who knows?
She's off in the depths of... She's in the trench. When you read the omnibus, you'll get it. She's in the trench. She's down there sealed away.
Oh, spoiler. Oh.
It's not. It's like the first book. It's like the first issue.
Okay. Sick. Well, that was a pretty solid deep dive. I hope all of you watching didn't think we were bashing in the MCU. I think we're probably 3 of the biggest MCU supporters through the hard times, but we're also realistic people. That's just kind of the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if you want some real reviews, Point 3 Podcast, subscribe, like all that good stuff. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say we got a big MCU basic celebration coming up in the next couple of weeks. So I was gonna say everybody needs to stay tuned for that because that's gonna be big for us. So it's probably our biggest project, right? I would say.
Yeah. I mean, we spent a lot of time putting this together. So for
exciting stuff.
That's another reason why I say too, like we've looked back at so much MCU that when we say what we think now, I feel like it's the most valid, truthful thing that we probably could say, just given everything we know and how deep we've gone into the MCU to what it's now today. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, that concludes this week's episode of the Point 3 Podcast live stream. If you'd like to engage with us more, feel free to join our Discord, link in our bio, follow us on socials, and we'll be having some more watch parties in the future, potentially Loki movie night, episode 1. That'll be fun to watch with everybody. Just saying.
Join the Discord, baby.
Yeah.
Join in.
Yeah. You're missing out.
I hope you all have a wonderful night and stay awesome. Keep nerding out. I forgot what was the other part of the outro. I'm not gonna lie.
He doesn't know our own outro.
It's been a while. I got the nerding out part right though. I know
did.
that.
He did.
But